Hey, LL Nation, what's good? It's your boy SD2 Mikes. Shaun Davis, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. We're featuring and brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if indeed you choose to drink, make sure you drink responsibly. It's the perfect way, the perfect nightcap for a Notre Dame W on a Saturday.
Now, you got a quick update. Onora,
Yes, sir.
the site is down right now. However, if you guys, out there supporting your boy, I have my book out on Kindle right now. I'm working on the paperback, and it's only $1. Look at that. It's only $1 on Kindle. Go cop that.
Go cop
Lucky
that.
Lefty.
Support Lucky Lefty himself. And I know a lot of things are in the works, with Onora Whiskey, some new products coming.
New products coming. That's right. We got some new stuff coming up.
Y'all getting into the flavored stuff yet, dude?
Yeah, so this year we did the whiskey bourbon rollout. Now we're working on a scotch. We're working on a brandy. We got a tequila and vodka series that we're working on next year, but we got to have something down in Mexico because that's where you can only make it. So we really making moves right now.
So I'm not a connoisseur. Yeah, I would definitely, call myself a rookie of spirit on the other side. I'm not a rookie of the spirit.
That's
on
right.
this side, but on the other side of spirits,
the good Christian, you certified.
So the scotch, like what's the one, on the guys like Hugh Hefner have on the little jackets, smoking jackets, and they puffing on a cigar, like,
yeah,
are they going brandy, scotch, or are they going whiskey?
They going whiskey usually, or
They
the
going
whiskey
whiskey with the cigar, with the smoking jacket.
That's right.
So scotch is kind of like it's a different drink because I hear it all the time. My cousin used to come here, and we used to go to this Jamaican spot in Hyde Park, which is absolutely amazing, right? And he would always get a lime and scotch. I don't know where it came from, right? He would just literally get the lime juice from the fruit in there, put it on the edge of the glass, lime and scotch. It was like a go-to for him. And
it's the simple combinations that make it real classic.
Yeah.
2 ice cubes, a little lime.
Yeah. You grow up in the south side of Chicago, dude. All you pretty much know is Henny. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? That's what you heard on the street. That's what you saw as a kid when guys were walking out the corner store. It's like, okay, one day I might give me a sip of that Henny.
What a marketing scam. What a marketing scam. Whoever was at Henny must have been really studying the culture real tight.
Yeah, but now I think overall our culture has evolved when it comes to drinking and whiskeys and top shelf stuff and mid shelf stuff and all of those different things. So, the diversity now that exists in that market is absolutely outstanding. I will say that because there's more to it than just a brand name. I would say, if you're really into those things and tastings and different tastes and where they come from and how long have they been barreled, how long have they been aged. It's a conversation we had with some gentlemen and Eric Hansen.
That's right.
The Blue and Gold game.
Shout out to Eric Hansen, man. Real solid journalist, man. I love his work.
Solid dude, man. We enjoyed that conversation. So, yeah, he has a lot of Notre Dame history up in them gray hairs up there.
That's right.
So that was a fun conversation. Notre Dame has moved on. We'll talk about that. We'll get the film breakdown and see what Malik thinks about the latest offer at quarterback in the 23 class, whom he just saw in person just last week at the Elite 11. We'll talk about Notre Dame. Is it possible that Oregon could actually help Notre Dame. We're not talking about taking away Dante Moore. Could they actually help Notre Dame? Why do people still talk about Notre Dame's scheduling? Why is that a question? Whether or not Notre Dame's schedule is soft because it doesn't have a conference affiliation. We'll get into that. And we have some other stuff, some other things, petty train. But we start with the news of the day. And the news of the day is 23 quarterback Baylor commit Austin Novosad, who is a Baylor commit out of Texas. I mean, this kid as a junior led the state in his division in passing yards, and he was also the MVP. You look at him, you watch him, you might say, he's a tier below the other guys that are 5 stars in the 23 class. But when you find out that even though he's a commit to Baylor, Ryan Day in Ohio State level, and now Tommy Rees in Notre Dame have offered him after he had a phone conversation with Marcus Freeman. It was very interesting that, in his tweet pretty much said after a great conversation with Marcus Freeman, not Tommy Rees, like after a great conversation with Marcus Freeman, man, I'd like to announce that I've been offered a scholarship from the University of Notre Dame. So once again, Marcus Freeman is taking the lead and being the lead recruiter for all of his guys. And just give us your thoughts on the initial offer, because I know there's some other things you want to get into on the parameters of this thing. What were your thoughts when you saw the tweet and the initial offer?
Well, I know Novosad has some talent. Getting a chance to see him at the Elite 11 amongst the other top guys like the Malachi Nelsons of the world, the Eli Holstons. He was able to, perform really well from a technical standpoint. I like his competitiveness. The thing about the 23 class is that there's a lot of good guys, but there's no standout, oh man, that's a bona fide, number one superstar. I think the difference is the years where I was at the Elite 11 when Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence was there.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell the difference between the two groups. It was just a different way they carried themselves. They kind of knew themselves that they was about to go to the league. Everybody was kind of talking about it. So it was just it's interesting going to camps like those because there's not a lot of people there, but the people that are there matter and usually have some really good insight for how the future usually unfolds for them just because they've been doing it so long. It's literally all the quarterbacks you could ever dream of being around if you're a high school recruiter, a college recruiter, or even a future NFL scout. So seeing the two different classes kind of just showed a little bit of a difference between I've seen what they projected as a first round top guy that is doing it now as opposed to what they feel about this class. However, I do think Novosad has a lot of talent, something that a guy like Tommy Rees really likes. If anything, I would just compare it to an upgrade or an athletic version of Jack Cohn would be my comparison. I think he has a lot of great basic technical skills that you can plug and play into an offense like Tommy. And I think he's just a little more mobile than what Jack is, but I can see Tommy throwing the ball 60 times with the kid. He's going to Baylor, so it would be a difference of offenses, of course. But for Novosad, I think for us, recruiting late like this, not getting the guy that we want, but not giving up on recruiting quarterbacks in the class, just keep showing how tenacious and ferocious we're going after this recruiting as Marcus Freeman. He's like, that's okay. We still got the train rolling, and we're going to grab guys that we feel like no matter, even if it's the last second, we still playing until the whistle.
Lucky Lefty podcast, you talked about it. Latest offer, Austin Novosad. He has offers he's a Baylor commit. He also has an offer in from Ryan Day in Ohio State. Let's get to a couple of clips here, man, from his season, his MVP season, junior season down in Texas. Not a over the top crazy arm, but it's nice. Nice.
Yeah, he's a guy that can, nickel and dime you down the field. He's gonna execute the plays Tommy's calling. And sometimes with offensive coordinators, it's an ego thing. They want to see the things that they're designing and scheming late at night in their room or late at night in the coach's office. They want to see that come to fruition as if they were playing a position on game day. This kid, Novashad's not an off-schedule kind of guy. He's a guy that's going to go through his progressions. He's going to find, the last possible moment, and it looks like run when he needs to. So it's a guy that, you want to look at from a plug and play standpoint. And for Tommy, I think this is a comfortable pick. This is not a risky pick where he's like, I got to design some quirky plays for this kid to get going. It's something where Tommy's like, all right, he could just study what I roll out there and adapt and execute.
Yeah, you'll see here. He's athletic. He'll surprise you. He's athletic. He's not about to be that Avery Johnson running type quarterback, but he has enough ability to maneuver within the pocket, get out beside the pocket, and be able to make plays. As I said before, you talked about that deep ball. The film you watch, he does have really good deep ball accuracy. And that's one thing you like. But, this is Notre Dame, and half of our games are going to be in October and November with wind in the Midwest. And, you have to be able to sling the rock, man.
But I'm not going to lie to you. I do not think he's sneaky athletic. I think he's just an average guy. He's going to be able to pick up 5 or 10 yards here and there, but he's not, when I'm saying athletic, he's not getting away from a Clemson D-line. He's not getting away from Georgia and Alabama's D-line.
Bryce Young couldn't get away from elite pass rushing. You know what I'm saying?
We're not saying that's a bad thing. But
right.
Also not saying that, if everybody's backing up, then beware, he might pick up 20, 30 yards. I don't think that either, no.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think Ian has more playmaking ability than this kid has. But I think this kid is a quicker start than what probably Ian would be under Tommy.
Well, see, put it like this. Ian was a playmaker, but he was still limited in his playmaking ability. Right?
Oh, yeah, because he wasn't a supreme athlete.
He wasn't a supreme, but even when he got outside the pocket, he wasn't about to take the big risky play.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He was either going to run it, which he could get the first downs and get some chunk yards, or he was going to hit somebody intermediate. But somebody that's going to get outside. Bryce gets outside the pocket, and he's looking down the field. Like, if he can make the big play, he's trying to make the big play. Just a different type of – and he's nowhere near the scrambler, in my opinion, that Ian Book was.
But, you kind of need a little bit of that. I mean, even Stetson, Bennett, Benson, Benoit, Beignet, he had a little bit of mobility, when it came down to the nitty-gritty, which I think this kid can move around a little bit. But I just think for what Tommy wants, I think he would enjoy coaching this kid a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
He looks a lot like I think Steve Angeli may be more athletic than this kid. This kid probably fits more in the Brendan Clark area to me.
Well, he definitely shocked us this spring with his ability to move at his size.
Right. Steve Angeli, man, he's a guy that you don't sleep on.
Yeah.
Just because he might get crazy legs and just be, want to just get some extra yards, and you can appreciate the effort, because I think that he may not be as strong a passer as Drew or even Tyler Buckner, but he's not going to just go 3 and out without a fight, which you can appreciate.
So you come away from that, like I said, this just isn't, okay, we have to go take him away from Baylor. There is a connection that Notre Dame has that gives them a leg up, because he's played 7-on-7 and pretty much came up with and has a really strong relationship with Braylon James. And that is the connection.
With.
Yeah. So
Braylon probably vied for him too.
Yeah,
Tommy and Marcus Freeman probably was like in their ear about it.
yeah,
So, good for keeping that connection. I know CJ is recruiting all his friends.
yeah.
That
And,
helps.
and you talked about it. There are not a lot of people at the Elite 11 tournament, but there are a lot of important people at the Elite 11 tournament. And pretty much everyone has eyes and ears there to be able to not only receive information, but convey information. So I would not say that this was the first conversation that Notre Dame had concerning Austin Novosad, right?
No.
Like
Right.
they could, for months, or they could have gotten information and been preparing for what they knew might have been coming, which happened on Friday, and could have been talking to Braylon James, could have been talking to his dad, getting information, talking to people that know him down there, trying to decipher between, the rest of the crop that were uncommitted to say, okay, what's the guy that we want to target and go after, right? You like the Mencham kid that was out there that's committed to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about him on multiple days, talking about, he put on a pretty nice show this day.
Yeah,
And
I think what made that difference was just the consistency. I mean, he came out. He's not a kid that's going to wow you too much either, but his day stacks up. So he'll make a couple really good throws and he'll make a couple more. And by the end of the day, you're like, man, he put together a consistent day. And then I thought the kid was really well put together. Similar to Novashak type of guy. I think
yeah,
it with these guys in the 23 class, it really comes to fit. I think it's interesting to put a Dante in an Oregon offense, considering he's not the most athletic dude in the world, and Oregon's been known to have, pretty athletic guys. I mean, even Mariota ran a 4.4 4.3.
yeah,
So Dante's like a 4.6 4.7, like a me,
right.
Midwest QB. We athletic, but we ain't. I'm not thinking Oregon offense, that type of deal, but it's just interesting. I think the kid from Pitt is going to fit well at Pitt. That's a great landing place for him. So
Great
with this
coach too.
great coach,
Great
great coach.
coach.
So what they can do with fit in this class, does Novashad fit? I think he fits for Tommy. Is he a fit for a national championship? If you got to question it, probably not.
I mean, from a measurement standpoint,
Yeah, he looked good.
he is. I mean, he's pretty much CJ Carr, right? You saw him up close and personal. They have him listed like 6'3", 190.
Yeah, I say he's like 6'2", 6'3", stringy strong. Gang Langley strong.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
looked he looked
And then
solid.
like CJ Carr, 6'2.5", 195. So pretty much the same quarterback as far as measurements. I think CJ Carr might have a little bit more intangibles and pizzazz to his game that makes him that 5-star. But when you go after big fish and you lose, I think we both agree. I'll throw it out there. I don't think going all in was a mistake. There are some people right now, because of the way things ended, that feel like going all in was a mistake.
No.
Like, oh man, we didn't get Fazina. So what?
Nobody care about Tim Tebow Jr.
No, it's like, and it's like, so what, man? Make a decision. Like, this is what it is to go get the only squad that's grabbing like 5-star quarterbacks and then stacking another quarterback is Alabama. Like, Alabama literally just got another 4-star quarterback to commit when they already had Eli Holstein. So, and Alabama's Alabama. No one else is doing that.
Well, Miami's doing it.
Well, they're at this point where they have to do it from a number standpoint. Well, they got Jaden Rashada, right?
Mm-hmm. And then the other kid, Eli, isn't it Eli or something? And the other kid, Eli Whitner and Eli something like that.
I thought you were about to say, I'll get but just go ahead to your point of not getting the 5-star guys and Notre Dame not getting the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields historically.
I mean, I think that for who's running the offense through the years, I think it shows the type of guys that they want. You know, I think when Brian Kelly was really working things, his guys were the Hendricks and the Tommy Reese of the world. You know, Coach Martin came in and switched it up a little bit and brought some different things to it, and that kind of changed the trajectory of the Brian Kelly early in his career. I think if it wasn't for what Chuck Martin brought to the offense with Denbrock and what they were kind of putting together and the guys they were recruiting, that what is it, 2011, 2013, 14 class?
Yeah.
The classes they recruited right there was a huge staple for how it ended up being a automated machine, it felt like towards the end. But I think for us in getting the quarterbacks, it just comes to, I think Tommy wants to continue running that system style of quarterback where you're more comfortable with the Nick Foles type of quarterbacks, the Jared Goff type of guys, because they're going to do what's on the paper. And that's an ego thing. You know, when you get to a position like that, that's an ego thing only because you want to win based off of how you call the game.
Yeah.
You're not winning based off of who you have and you just saying, I want to, I'm expecting big plays. It's like I'm dialing stuff up. I know he's going to be thinking like I'm thinking. They're going to give me all the love in the world. And I don't blame him. I mean, you see all the trips he's taking and the attentions he's getting. There's a lot of at stake for him this year, especially in my opinion, being on the hot seat or my hot seat. So I do think it's important that if that's what you want to do, you better make it right. Don't go out here with these average seasons, these average offensive numbers, trying to do it your way, So if that's the team that you want to build around, then that's how you got to do it.
Lucky Lefty podcast. We're talking about Notre Dame's latest 2023 offer going out to Baylor quarterback commit Austin Novosad out of Texas, who was, the number one quarterback in passing yards and also the MVP of his district and his division down there in the state.
But we also know about those Texas quarterbacks and throwing for 1,002 yards because that's those are gimmick offenses, which he knows himself. That's why he was going to Baylor.
Yeah.
I do think that at Notre Dame, because of the type of place it is, having another Jimmy Clausen, Brady Quinn type of quarterback is too much pressure for the coach at that time. I think it was too much pressure for Brian Kelly to bring in the bona fide guy coming out of high school, even recruiting him on that level, just because if it didn't work, the coach usually isn't staying. You're usually not staying too long after that. I think when what Clemson got right, they hit early. So they program on generational talent quarterbacks, and it's worked out that way. And when they haven't had that pop on the team with a generational quarterback, you've seen how it could raise some alarms. Some coaches can't bounce back from that.
Yeah.
And I think that's an honest evaluation of yourself. If you can't take on no 5-star CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence type of guy and not turn him into the number one guy he's supposed to be, you're not going to be there the next year. That's just how it works. So if you stay right above he could be all right, or maybe if we put the right things around him, you're good because then it comes based off of how you win and team and all that stuff. But if you're getting number one players, those number one players got to shine.
And going to get that first guy is a task, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can go back and look. It was a task for Dabo. It was a task for Dabo to get Shaun out of Georgia. Like, it was, getting them away from the Bulldogs, getting them away from Florida State and Jimbo at that time. It was a task. But at some point, you have to close on one of those guys. And Notre Dame feels like they did with CJ Carr. And
Yeah, I mean,
at that point, they were like, we closed on that guy. He's not in 23, he's in 24. So you know what? To go all in, we don't feel the same type of pressure.
Yeah, but I think that's also, you don't want to say jumping the gun, but in a sense it's jumping the gun. Only because it feels like the rebound girl. Yeah, we sold all in on one, and then you getting the one to commit right after that feels reboundish. It feels a little. Did you evaluate as much as you really should have this early to be having a kid commit this early?
Yeah.
He's got a whole 2 seasons left. A lot can happen, and you giving the kid the keys to the city, which is fine, but it's coming after a time where you was just trying to give the kid down the street. We ain't talking about another state. We talking about down the street.
Right.
It feels a little funny from a. Did we do our job thoroughly enough on this one?
Yeah.
Only because of the way it went down. Now, if CJ Carr was, a 2023 kid and he's making headways all over ESPN and Arch Manning style, I get it. Where you like, oh man, this guy should be in the league right now. But we only started hearing a lot more about CJ Carr after he committed, because his top 8 or whatever was like regular schools. You had Michigan, you had a school here, yes. But, in that standpoint, I'm not going to call him a rebound chick because I think he's a really good player. I think we went about it like a rebound chick.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it works out. Some guys married a rebound chick. You never know.
I don't know about that, man. That rebound chick is dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's not, you know what? I won't be mad at anyone that deals with the rebound chick, right? Just don't fall in love with it. Just don't keep doing it over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like if you every now and then
these kids pop, CJ Carr got enough time to drop in rankings. He got enough time to anything can happen.
I think his ranking is really going to bump up because I expect him to really have a really good season.
Yeah, I'm expecting. I think he's a great talent. All of that. I'm just the time that you got him for you to be all in. Were you telling kids like, hey, you coming in, it's 4 years of greatness. I haven't seen us do that ever.
Dude, when I heard him tell you, I'm talking to guys letting them know to come on in and help me win a national championship. I was like, help you?
Jimmy Clausen wasn't even talking like that.
Not help us. But I was like, okay, this is personal. All right.
It just felt like the recruitment was more personal than it was how we treating other players, where it's like, hey, we poaching, we saying this and that, but with this, it felt like we hired CJ. Like it wasn't an offer, it was a hire. Like we hired you to come in and play.
Our girl D Beezy said, what about the rebound dude? They be just as thirsty.
It felt like we was just as thirsty. I mean, the kid came up to camp for Irish Invasion, got a head nod and a handshake on camera, committed the week after. That's like 90 Day Fiance. I don't know if y'all watched that on TLC, but we played 90 Day Fiance with the kid.
Oh, look, a good player is a good player.
He is a good player.
I don't give a darn when he commits. If that dude wants to commit, if a 25 kid right now that's 6'4", 325 pounds, dominating down in Florida wants to commit today at defensive tackle, take him.
See, that's different. We talking about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks different than D tackle.
Bona fide, good players. I don't care what position they are.
See, you
Bona
got
fide good players. Look, I'm from Chicago, bro. Where we go scout 5th and 6th graders for high school. Like, we're not waiting for them to get to 7th, 8th grade.
Not quarterbacks.
5th grader, oh yeah, you going to Simeon, bro. It's a wrap. You know,
Okay, but that's not quarterbacks.
Right now.
Because at the end of the day, okay, if that was true, then who was scouting Tom Brady? Who was sitting there and being like, Tom Brady, you going to IMG first day? No.
It's a new day.
Aaron Rodgers with the JUCO. Aaron Rodgers with the JUCO. So you can't. No. Quarterback position is not changing.
It's a new
Even
day.
Bryce Young don't look like a guy. You like, oh man, you about to take over the league.
Stop. Bryce been on the radar since he was a freshman.
I'm saying, listen. I'm saying, look, physically, the eye test.
I'm not talking about the eye test. I'm talking about people saw Bryce as a freshman and was like, yo, just like Bryce J. Underwood out of Michigan, as a freshman, won a state championship, and dudes were like, you know what? He's the next one. Like, with C.J. Carr, Dante Moore in the same state, everybody's like, he's next. And Notre Dame already offered him. He hasn't played a snap in his sophomore year.
The freshman that won a state championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying quarterback is not like every other position that you recruit. Keon Keeley could have committed in 7th grade.
As big as he was?
As big as he was, yes. We would love Keon Keeley's commitment in 7th grade. Will we have loved any of these quarterbacks' commitments that we got now or ever in 7th grade? No. CJ Carr in 7th grade, I wouldn't feel good about committing to Notre Dame. Keon Keeley, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. It's a different process. You look at the guys that you think are slam dunks and aren't slam dunks, and all indications were, oh, he this and that. It's just different.
Right. And, you know, you know how hard it is to win a state championship as a freshman, bro?
Depending on what state. You can win one in New Mexico.
Man, stop. The game of football is the game of football. Mm-hmm. That's why you come up with that stuff about, man, where is he playing? I don't give a darn where you playing. You can play the worst squad in the world. It's still hard as hell to score 100 points in a basketball game in high school. I don't care who you playing. It's difficult.
You should come out to my practice and see our high school teams.
I don't know how to take that, bro. Either you trying to say they horrible, or
you can see a clear difference.
Oh, of course, as far as like talent and competition. Of course. That's not my point. My point is, like, people are like, when Lisa Leslie, I'll never forget, bro. When Lisa Leslie dropped that 100, I was in high school and it was like, a girl scored what? I'm like, bro, we only played 32 minutes in high school. Like,
yeah.
How she scored 100? Like, it doesn't matter who she was playing. Just the task.
When it's 100, yeah.
Of scoring 100 in a high school game, it's like, okay, you're different. Like, if you're doing that, you're different. And it's certain accomplishments, man. It's like, yo, athletically, like, you're different. Like, I saw somebody talk about his size in the chat, and he might not end up going to the pros as a quarterback. You know, dude.
Who?
Bryce J. Underwood.
Oh, no, I'm saying what player? You talking about Bryce Young or who?
No, the kid that won the state championship in Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's too
early.
Like,
dude,
freshman.
Like, dude, it's tomato. He's listed at the fact that he's listed by 247 at 6'2", 200. Oh, right. And people are talking about his size. He's listed at 6'2", 200.
Well, he can control his weight because you don't go down the older you get. That's for sure.
But it's funny, man. It's funny. It's funny. Lucky Lefty podcast. So once again, Austin Novosad is basically between Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Baylor. He's already committed to Baylor. This is the next step for moving on from what was the debacle, the unfortunate debacle with Dante Moore. And like you said, you swung for the fences. You move on. And if you move on, it's a method to moving on. Right? When you have a bad breakup and it's like big news around the school, you don't go front street with the next move. Right?
We went front street.
No, I don't think they went front street with this.
We was the only program to have a 24 commit this early at quarterback. At a school
saying that like it's a bad thing. They gotta do.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I think it's like what our girl say. Lee Marie is thirsty. That's all.
It's thirsty to do what?
It's the way we did it. I don't agree with. I'm not saying CJ's a bad player. I think CJ's really good. I think we rebounded with a great chick. But I'm just saying that doesn't show a good process on our end because you rushing another kid in here that I'm sure you wasn't recruiting as hard. You bring him in, are you going to develop the kid the same? I mean, you got to bring kids in you're going to develop. If you don't know the kid as well as you sold on the other kid, you just bringing in whoever. So I think that if you bringing in CJ, that's your guy. I think you should tell Novosad that.
So you would have been cool with no quarterback in the 23 class.
Yeah, I would love it.
Well, first of all, you can't do that from a number standpoint because you can't really anticipate if Drew is going to stick around. Like, heck, if Tyler wins the job,
Jelly, what you mean?
Once again, this comes down to whether or not
not
our thoughts, the thoughts of the staff on Steve Angeli, not our thoughts. They're the ones looking at the roster making the moves.
Wait a minute, Tommy recruited Steve.
Okay,
so
he had a strobe light moment. That might to him it might be a strobe light moment. Maybe he danced all night, and once the lights came on at about 1:30 in the morning, he was like, "Oh snap! No, let me go ahead and get another quarterback in this 23 class." And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, look, they looked at the makeup and they know. They say you need a quarterback in every class.
Or it's like you go 5-star, then it's like 3-star, then you do a 5-star again or something like that.
Yeah. And look, I'm not about to sit up here and debate that right now. My point is, outside of the entire Dante Moore thing, I had no problem with because recruiting has changed, man. It's changed. Kids are going to continue to commit earlier and earlier as time moves on because of the information that they have and as many camps. Dude, they know where everybody is going. They know. They talk. They know where other kids are going. They know what the dominoes are to fall. Right? He wanted to commit back in March.
Who?
CJ Carr.
That's fine.
My point is Notre Dame held him off for 2 months like, yo, relax, be cool. And then they got to a point, it was like, man, this kid wants to come. He's a 5-star recruit, and we're just going to keep telling him no? Like, no.
I mean, we're Notre Dame. We telling a lot of kids be cool. We told Jackson Arnold be cool. So.
In the 23 class, of course, because you were all in on Dante. Yeah, be cool.
I'm just saying, we tell kids be cool all the time. It wasn't like CJ was the only kid we was telling to be cool. We know the name.
That's apples and oranges, man. That's not 23 to 23. That's 23 to 24.
Oh, you talk. Yeah, I mean, well, we were. Yeah, like you said, we were committed to Dante the whole time.
Yeah, and like I said, Drew could come back with an extra year, but he can also be a grad transfer and go play another year. So
Yeah, he got
now,
another year somewhere.
now you got Tyler, now you have Angeli, and then
TJ or
if you
no.
didn't if you didn't bring in anybody in 23, it's like what do you have? So that would be negligence on the part of the coaching staff just to put in a class without a quarterback.
Well, I mean, we got Ron Paulus Jr. We got guys I mean, we had a transition year supposedly. So we got a lot of guys on the roster. Because remember, Jack Cohn was a transfer. So we took two guys that year. We took Tyler and Ron. So technically, to fill that spot for 23, we're really good.
Jay Henry, I agree with you. He is trolling right now. He's trolling his own show. It is crazy. I have no
Look,
clue what he's doing right now. It's a bit. This is a bit. He's doing a bit right now. I don't know why.
I'm just playing the roster, though. I'm just saying the roster. We got to talk about people on the roster. Y'all not giving nobody no credit. We recruit these guys, so I'm sure we're thinking about, playing them eventually. So
at this point, man, it's for the 24 class, and when we say the other girl, or no, we're talking about moving on. CJ Carr has nothing to do with the moving on conversation. That's 24 class. That's literally getting your 24 class going. And
I would love that conversation. Any quarterback get that CJ Carr conversation, you should commit on the spot too.
Heck yeah.
Anybody getting that conversation, that's just what it is.
Absolutely. Especially to a brand like Notre Dame. Absolutely. Unless, you're about other things in recruiting. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you find your school and you feel like, man, I know where I want to go, and it's right before your junior year, lock in. And you can change your mind. It's not illegal to change your mind.
Which is such an interesting quarterback school because we're Notre Dame. We could have 5 stars every year.
Mm-hmm.
We have such an interesting way we recruit. Have an interesting way we recruit in the transfer portal. So I don't know. We're not doing what you would think everybody else was doing. Like Alabama's not making it hard. They're getting the top guy every year and making it work. Clemson get a top guy every year and making it work. And we just be having like what's going on? Why are we not popping on the scene like how we are as a team? Because every great team out here has had
it goes back to the previous regime. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, we can't blame that on Marcus Freeman right now.
It goes back to the previous regime and how they looked at recruiting, which was not top tier recruiting or good enough recruiting to win a national championship. It just wasn't. And, people want to defend a number of wins and all of that. Look, Notre Dame's about winning national championship and graduating players. I'm not beating my chest.
Oh, the only position that we're focused on graduating players is the quarterback position. All these other positions, guys jumping guys in roster spots, guys transferring, going to the league in 3 years, that whole thing. But if you want a nice, this is any quarterback at a top school, if you want a nice education and be on the football team and get all the toppings and whipped cream and cherries. Do that. You can go graduate at Notre Dame as a quarterback, have a great time, and then transfer and go somewhere else. But all the other positions on the field, you're getting shaken up. Like we talked about with the previous regime, you got that window.
To prove yourself, and then you kind
You
of
miss that window. Oh, it's over with. Oh, it's over. You gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
If you're a quarterback, though, shoot, you just gotta pass the time.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like that. And like I said, you've seen the difference immediately from a recruiting standpoint, from the way the previous staffs approached it, and the way this staff has approached the 23 and the 24 classes. It's totally different. And you hear the elite, the best players in the nation, top 200, top 300, saying, man, Notre Dame wouldn't even been on my radar if it wasn't for Marcus Freeman.
And we on Pimba's radar. I think we can get in Pimba for real.
Stuff like that. It's like, it matters. It matters. And Notre Dame had got to a point where they had settled with, we're good getting 1 to 2 top 300 guys, maybe 3 or 4 top 300 guys. And then, we'll go find some 3-star projects on the back end. And just the roster composition. Notre Dame was a development school. We're going to keep it a buck. Notre Dame had become a development /
almost team.
Absolutely. Where you had really good players, but then you had a nice percentage of players that had to be developed.
And a lot went to the league.
And a lot of them went to the league. Well, you have to tip your cap to the level of development that was taking place at Notre Dame. Matt Bayless meant a lot in that.
I mean, just from the top to bottom, we were getting guys in the league now.
Absolutely. So you see a guy like Mike Elston. You can question.
Mike Elston's resume is nice.
You can question his inability to get a Keon Keeley type to come to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
Consistently.
I mean, he been kicking butt.
But to go get the Adi Agundejis and go get
the Adi, that was a stretch.
Dude, the Akwaras and
the Khalid.
It's like you can't argue with that. Right? You can't argue with that production.
Taylor didn't even play in high school.
Right.
And we got him drafted.
Right. Facts. So you can't argue with that, but that's not going to consistently put you in contention for a national championship.
Right.
And that's, yes, will you be one of the top 5 to 8 programs in America? Yes.
We are an SEC program in that standpoint. Bunch of great players. But we always right there. We're not in contention every year.
Yeah.
But we right there.
Yeah.
That's an SEC program.
Yeah.
Every year in the draft, you see, another guy going to the league, another guy from Vanderbilt that go high in the draft. You be like, who is that? But then you see his highlight tape. He's one-handing stuff. Breaking up. Just because he was talented, they didn't win. But he was good.
Right.
So but it all comes back to the same thing. Good teams like that have great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's just
what the quarterback position, the quarterback room development that didn't work for whatever reason. Defensive backs development, right?
Man, that's a confusing thing too. We had a
defensive line development. It's like, dude,
I don't know about D-line
development. You get 3 to 4 position groups on your squad that are really developmental rooms. That's not an elite recruiting strategy. It's just not. It's not. And we have, as fans, we don't always have to protect our program, man, just to hear the truth about what transpired.
Because those are our shortcomings.
And it's the truth.
Like, we're A1 in lineman, progression, development, all that.
All of
Can't
that.
get nowhere better.
And didn't have a problem getting the best lineman in the country to come.
Oh, and, we had a dud here or there, but even our duds, one of our duds is a WWE wrestler. Check that out. Parker Boudreaux. He's
He
great.
don't even remember Parker.
And Parker he was just, at the time, he just came at the wrong time.
Right.
He was 6'2", and at this time we had Ronnie, Mike McGlinchey, Q Nelson, all these 6'5".
Right.
It was like, damn, bro, you came at the wrong time. But he was good still, But the point is, A1 in a lot of positions, but you would say the non-glamorous ones.
Yes.
But the non-glamorous ones just don't win championships. Even though they're Hall of Fame now. We got some Hall of Fame guys.
Right.
But just not the glamorous positions we need them in.
Like,
but they built a great foundation.
Even a wide receiver room, like you had a Will, right?
Had a Will.
You had Stephenson. Like you had guys that were explosive and fast. You had EQ. But you had
and then
Chase.
we started getting these conversion guys. Miles was a tight end conversion.
Yeah.
Kevin Austin's a conversion in a way.
Heck, our best defensive back this year
was
a converted wide receiver. So
how do you get that at top schools?
It's like, you're not getting that at.
You're not getting that at Bama unless it's a Trayvon Diggs, but
Look, man,
that's about it.
That's the thing. When you start to have honest conversation and dialogue about the steps needed or that needed to take place for Notre Dame to get to an elite level of recruiting to close the gap on schools like Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama. And that's what you're seeing in the 23 and 24 classes. In order for that to happen, there had to be a change in mentality. Heck, Marcus Freeman made a change in mentality in recruiting in the 22 class immediately. He came in and immediately said, no, we got to upgrade these linebackers.
He's a linebacker, so he knew he had to start.
And that's dude, we had just put Wu in the draft.
Oh, yeah, we just put him first round.
We just put Wu in the draft, and he's still saying, nah.
I'm talking about and then put a safety in right after.
Right. And Marcus Freeman's like, this is not how you get to a national championship. We got to take it another step.
Not by letting first rounds go to the draft. That's not how we get there.
But what he's looking at is the overall makeup of the room, class to class, year to year. You can't have this high athletically in Wu. And then you go from Wu down here with your depth and your backups. The drop-off can't be as precipitous as it was, and we see how troubling that is. Alabama didn't expect to lose their top two receivers going into the playoffs, but that's what happens when you lose those guys and you don't have that talent in your freshman and sophomore classes that can match up and kind of level things off to be able to produce. It's just one of those things. And that's one of the things that he saw, which is why he talks about 1A and 1B with this team. His backups are 1B. That's the level he wants them playing at. 1B. I don't want you to be a 2. I need you to be a 1B. Like my starters, those are my 1As. Those are my Michael Jordans. It's cool. You can come in and be a LeBron. That's cool. You can be that 1B. And that's how you make up your roster. That's how you win championships. That's how you're able to say, okay, we got Will Anderson, but we're going to go ahead and throw Dallas Turner in here in the playoffs to make a difference. Like, yeah, your freshmen should be that good. If you get Keon Keeley should come in next year. He doesn't have to start.
He can play. He's going to play. He needs to play.
But my point is, he doesn't have to start the first snap. But you expect him to make plays.
Oh, yeah, he's getting in.
By the middle of the season. If he's that type of player, heck yeah. So that, man, look, that's the next step. Let's get to this before we get out of here, bro. Josh Pate, man, this argument he put forth about scheduling in Notre Dame is absolutely amazing. Check this out, Josh Pate, 247.
The other day, someone else came at me with an entirely different myth. And they came at me with the old standby, which is Notre Dame does not play a tough schedule. In fact, Notre Dame plays a soft schedule. So here's normally how this goes. You cannot have a sustainable data-based argument against Notre Dame's strength of schedule. It doesn't exist because any reputable data-based or analytical model out there tells you the same thing. Notre Dame plays a very strong schedule. In fact, most years it's top 15 in the country. To give you a data point of our own, our system, our model, preseason has Notre Dame's schedule ranked 12th in the country this year. It'll fluctuate. I'm just saying we think highly of their schedule this year. So since you can't base it on data and logic, it quickly devolves into just pure emotion. Some of the most mindless, flawed logic in all of college football is reserved for Notre Dame's strength of schedule arguments. And once you get them off the rocker a little bit, because they can't back it up with numbers, it'll sound something like this. Well, they need to join a conference. Irrelevant. Well, they don't play a conference championship game. Irrelevant to the 1 through 12 argument. If you want to argue with me that it's wrong that Notre Dame doesn't have to play a conference title game, I'll be happy to have the argument with you. I may even agree with you. It's going to be a separate argument. That doesn't impact how strong their 1 through 12 is. Their 1 through 12 is the only matter on the table right now. And so then they continue. I mean, our buddy Chris Marler came at me with his trash today. Said, you know what proves that Notre Dame plays a soft schedule? What's that, Christopher? They get blown out every time they go to the playoff. Well, so would everybody else. I didn't tell you that Notre Dame was the best program in the country. I didn't tell you that they were a top 4 program in the country. I told you they don't play a weak schedule. They play the schedule they play. But that leads into another argument that I always have, and that's the Notre Dame is overrated argument. To me, Notre Dame has been for quite a while the most easily rated team in America. It's so easy to see where they fit in. They're not Bama. They're not Clemson. They're not Ohio State. They're not 2 or 3 other maybe Oklahoma you could include in there over the past decade. And then Notre Dame is situated somewhere behind them, somewhere in that 4 to 8 range. That's where Notre Dame sits.
I do. First of all, this scheduling argument is strictly another device to force the narrative that Notre Dame needs to join a conference. That's all it's about. That's all it's about. People, man, keep it a buck. We're going back to the 70s, the 80s. Notre Dame has always played a tough national schedule. Facts.
And it's
when everybody was running from Miami and Florida State in the 90s, running from them. I'm talking about wanted no part. Florida took Miami off their schedule, bro. The University of Florida literally took Miami off their schedule. And Notre Dame was like, no, let's rock.
But we know being independent for so long, we need a tough schedule every year. We not no fools. We not playing circus and carnival games during 1 through 12. We know we have to have an exciting and worth watching schedule to be on a TV channel by ourselves, the little number channels. We not on no 35, 25. We on little channels.
Right.
We're competitive. People just want to hate on us. That's all it is.
Yeah. And like Charlie White's last belt loop. Yeah. Notre Dame's going to continue because of the relationship. They're going to continue to play the academies. So what?
Yeah, because that's the Sam Houston State that y'all play.
Bro, how many tough games does Ohio State play every year? The Big Ten is trash.
The whole Big Ten is trash.
Big Ten is trash outside of Ohio State.
Only because Ohio State out-recruited the Big Ten, so that's what made it trash.
Period. Who does Ohio State play? They played 1 game early in the season.
Us.
Oh, it was Oregon last year.
Got waxed at home.
Then their big game is Michigan.
Got
And they might have one other real game.
And the real game is the team that they should beat, like Purdue.
Right.
Or
3 games. 3 every year. Every year. How many real games does Bama play every year? I'm talking about real games. Real games.
One championship game.
I'll give them Auburn just because it's the rival. Like a true rival.
Yes. They keep it a true rivalry too. Auburn keep it a true rivalry.
Yes.
Auburn
every now and then LSU. Every now and then LSU. And then whomever they play to start the season. It's supposed to be their big. Alabama plays 3 games every year.
They play 3 games, and it's only the second game outside of Auburn is only important because it's a night game.
Right.
So it's just more college game day behind it. Other than that, Alabama don't play nobody, but that's because they play for the championship every year.
Yeah.
Even with a super conference, it wouldn't matter, I don't believe, because with a super conference, these teams are still really good. And to out-recruit these teams are still going to be really hard.
Oh, dude. It's so funny. Like, dude, Notre Dame has literally played Oklahoma, Georgia, gone to Oklahoma, gone to Georgia, played Clemson because of the ACC affiliation. It's like Alabama coming up in 25 on the schedule. Like, what do Notre Dame plays everybody? Everybody.
We played Florida State when Florida State had Jameis. We played Stanford when Stanford had Christian McCaffrey. Clemson when they had Deshaun. Clemson when they had Trevor. Clemson when they had Trevor again. We played everybody. The only people we don't play every year. We played LSU when they had Leonard Fournette. We played everybody that matters. The only teams we haven't played was Alabama. We played Ohio State when they was the best, when they had Urban, when they had Zeke and Michael Thomas. And
like Joe Long, dude. I live in Chicago. The Big Ten is trash.
We played Northwestern when they've had their best quarterback of all time.
Big Ten football, as an Illinois alum. I went to Illinois. The Big Ten in football is mid.
It started getting trash. It started getting mid when
mid. And when I say mid, I'm just talking about, dude. It's Ohio State, and then it's and then it's everybody else. Michigan State. Come on, man.
Michigan State.
D'Antoni, dude, we know the coaching job D'Antoni did at Michigan State.
We played Michigan State with Le'Veon.
Wait a minute. D'Antoni got good because Michigan started to stink under Hoke. Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that both Michigan and Michigan State are good simultaneously. And it was only 1 year. Minnesota. Wisconsin. You want to talk about that Wisconsin team last year? Really? You want to talk about quarterback play? Come on, bro. That team was suspect. Yeah. Suspect.
They don't want to recruit nobody.
You really want to talk about that Iowa team last year?
Iowa's good, man. Stop hating on Iowa.
Here we go. So that Iowa team would have beaten how many SEC teams last year?
Half of them. They would have beat a Vanderbilt. They would have beat a Tennessee. They would have beat Ole Miss. They would have beat they could beat LSU last year. Last year they could beat LSU.
The fact you said last year.
And they could damn near get Florida.
Florida last year.
Florida sucked last year at the end of the year.
They're beating Florida moving forward?
No.
Okay then. My point proven. Let's look, man. Look. And I'm from Big Ten country, man. If we were talking about basketball, my argument would be totally different. Totally different. But let's stop, man. Stop. There are only, dude, that's literally one program every year in the Big Ten that says national championship. One.
Yeah.
Michigan doesn't even say that anymore. They don't.
I heard from an inside source that Big Ten teams have their seasons to equate to beating Ohio State. They don't even look past beating Ohio State.
8 to 9 wins is a huge season for the vast
beating Ohio
majority.
State is a championship to Big Ten teams. They said we're
8
good.
to 9 wins for the vast majority is a great season in the Big Ten. It just is. It just is. It just is. But they just have history. They have schools like Michigan, Wisconsin that have historical programs from a football standpoint. They are the cradle of coaches, great coaches. Look, and they have power in the media. Period. So, look, man, I don't know what else to tell you, man. But we need to stop this whole narrative about scheduling and like somebody is lining up playing like 5 top. Like they'll start out with 6 to 7 SEC schools in the top 25 and then say Bama plays 5 top 25 teams on their schedule. And then half the teams don't end up in the top 25 at the end of the year or something crazy because you find out who they really are. It's all narratives, man. It's all narratives. And people want to say if we joined the Big Ten, we would struggle.
Struggle who? We just mollywop Wisconsin.
Bruh, especially
mollywop Michigan every time we get a chance.
If you put Notre Dame, because of the way the East is already stacked with Penn State, Rutgers, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan.
Yeah, you put us on that Wisconsin, Minnesota.
You put Notre Dame in the Big Ten West with Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois.
And Michigan? Or no, Michigan State?
No, Michigan State's in the East.
Oh, yeah, the East got all the
It's Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Northwestern. Man, Notre Dame would run. Man, look, man, let's get out of here, man. Let's end this show.
Because we got to play. Think about it. We play SC. We play all these schools across the country, man. We're not thinking about no.
Yeah, so SC and UCLA would probably be in that division. And that's still no problem.
No problem.
No problem. It's still not a problem. Come on, man. What are we really doing?
We recruit too good to be in the Big Ten. That is what it is. We recruit way too good. The Big Ten would.
This is the thing, Joe. We wouldn't play Ohio State every year.
No, it'd be like every 3 years.
Because we're in the West. I think Purdue is in the West too. Like this year, Purdue's schedule, they don't play Ohio State. They don't play Michigan. Dude, the schedule is like
nobody going to their game.
No.
You're going to have low management games for some of them players.
No.
Who wants to go to a Purdue, Illinois game this year? Maybe basketball, though.
Who wins more games this year, BK or MF? I really haven't paid attention to what Joe, the conference is crap. It's crap. When you have one school in the conference that thinks national championship, the conference is trash. Stop. Conversely, if you go to the basketball court, you have 4 to 5 teams every year in the Big Ten that think they have a legitimate shot at a national championship. That's a basketball conference.
They go into it thinking, "Oh,
like,
we got to
stop." No, let's keep it a buck. No, that's not a good football conference. When you have one program that has legitimate national championship thoughts every year,
aspirations. Most of these teams don't even aspire to it. They just, I want to win the Big Ten West.
Like if it has 2 to 3, name me the 2 to 3. Penn State Penn State has not come into seasons thinking they win in the national championship in the last 10 years. Stop. Maybe the last
When they
time
had
legitimately
Saquon, they
thought,
thought they was beating Ohio State. They wasn't thinking the championship though. They
dude,
said,
I'll give this. When they had the Saquon Barkley squad with what's his name? The quarterback number 9.
Trace McSorley.
Trace McSorley. That was pretty much Ian Book. Okay, you had thoughts of winning a national championship. That's it. That's it. No one in Penn State. You can go talk to the Penn State media right now. They know darn well with Shaun Clifford as their starting quarterback, they're not winning a national championship this year. They know it. They know it. They know.
They just think they can be competitive with Ohio State.
They know. They know. I'm telling you, talk to Penn State media. They know. Now, in another year or so, with the belief they have in Drew Aller,
You like Drew Aller? They like him over there too.
they like him. It's not about what I like. They like him a lot. And they think he can be the difference maker in that program to elevate it. We'll see. They like him a lot, the people around the program. So
They like
maybe
Christian
that
Hackenberg.
Dude.
They
Come
like
on,
Christian
man.
Hackenberg too, though. So Penn State ain't been great on quarterbacks neither.
Look, man, stop. People out here caping for the Big Ten today. They must be. Are we talking
The Big
basketball?
Ten
or
don't even
football?
got enough money for us. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
We make more money on NBC alone than they do in the Big Ten network.
Yeah.
And they got bigger stadiums. They're gonna try to require us to have a bigger stadium to fit 100,000 because that's what all the other stadiums do. Why?
Ooh, guinea pig clips. I don't know. The ACC has more teams that can win a natty than the Big Ten. I mean, if you're considering Notre Dame in the ACC in addition to Clemson, I guess that's where you're trying to go with that. You know, Lou Holtz didn't have problems with the Big Ten. Lou Holtz had close games with Michigan. Lou Holtz was beating the crap out of Michigan State. He was beating the crap out of Purdue. He was beating the crap out of Indiana. Come on, man. Stop. When you are an elite Notre Dame team, you do not struggle with Big Ten opponents.
At all.
You don't. You just don't. Lou Holtz had, at that point, Michigan was a darn good program.
Yeah, all the people they still hold on to today.
Right?
They still talk about it.
Michigan and Notre Dame always had battles. Every now and then, George Perlis would sneak up and keep Notre Dame in make it a fourth quarter battle. And you know how many times I watched George Perlis walk into Michigan Stadium, walk out with a 20-point loss when I was a youngster? Purdue used to get embarrassed. I'm talking about 30, 40, 50 points. But 32 years ago, once again, when you have an elite football program, as Notre Dame did, you don't struggle against the Big Ten.
Even credit to Brian Kelly. He ain't struggling against no Big Ten teams for real.
No.
Now he lost to Michigan one time or another.
Our point is, if Notre Dame takes the next step, they will not struggle with Big Ten teams.
No, in any team really.
Stop talking about what you saw under Brian Kelly.
Even our games that we're going against great teams, we're not getting demolished neither.
No.
We're keeping it close to every team. It just, for us, domination is what we need, like you said. These Toledos, these Dukes of the world.
Right. What you were on the squad when we had the Shamrock in Indianapolis? Weren't you on the squad when we had the Shamrock in Indianapolis against Purdue?
They had some dogs on in. They had
Yeah, but that
Ricardo
game
Allen.
should
They had Ricardo Allen.
that game should have been close. And you know darn well that game should have been close. Thank you. Get the heck out of here, man. That's what I'm talking about. We gotta stop.
They had two guys that were like 4-2 guys, 4-3 guys. The two little small running backs.
Yeah.
And they had the big D line. That was at a time when we was just playing keep away football. We was just trying to squeeze out victories.
Dude.
We're gonna be straight. I'm not worried about it.
Dude. Man, thanks for joining the show today. I love LL Nation, boy. Some entertaining stuff going on in the chat each and every day. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Yep, Petty Junction. Pettiest stories of the day brought to you by Onora Whiskey. OnoraWhiskey.com. That's Premium American Whiskey. OnoraWhiskey.com. Petty Train, the media, man.
The media.
Taking Ja Morant's comments out of context, actually putting it on national TV and having Kendrick Perkins to respond to it.
ESPN really did that though.
Dude, it
had a segment.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's ridiculous the way they defend Michael Jordan like that too. Like,
bro, let me keep it a buck with you. It's the middle of the summer. Camps haven't started yet, and producers are struggling to find content to talk about. I'm keeping it a buck with you. And that was just
literally got this from Ball Sack Sports on
that
Twitter.
was bad. That was very bad producing.
Very, very bad.
To take his words and to try to turn it into that segment. Just poor producing. Absolutely.
And it's crazy because you couldn't have missed where it came from. Because it was a tweet. It wasn't even no official thing out there. It's like ESPN be scrolling on Twitter, be bored.
And no, the tweet was about an interview, came from an interview he did with Taylor Rooks.
Yeah, but
God bless her soul.
God bless her soul.
Another Illini doing big things in the media. Shout out to Taylor.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, sir. University of Illinois, boy, straight from ATL.
Okay, all right.
Shouty.
Oh. We gotta. What do y'all call y'all alumni? I got you. We got domers at Notre Dame. What y'all got?
Just Illini. Just Illini. Illini. Yeah, that's all. We're not fancy with it. You know, y'all fancy with it. Homers, all that stuff. You know, Subway, whatever. No, just Illini when it comes to the University of Illinois. But no, really, man, it was just mad petty. And it was ridiculous. And really what he said, there was nothing wrong with what he actually said. Like, what else is he supposed to say? Like, yeah, I'll give Michael Jordan the business.
He would, though.
I mean, dude, what is he supposed to say? Now, I don't know, man. Mike was tough. No, I would give him the business if I played in this era.
And then he just put that caveat, except Bron, because he obviously is the GOAT.
Dude, you saw the show he put on at the Staples Center last year. You need to stop. Bron was on the court that night. You need to stop. Stop. There you go.
I didn't know he was judging by one game.
He gave him the business and the rest of the squad. What are you talking about? Allen Iverson is literally His greatest moment is one moment against Michael Jordan. One.
I know you didn't say greatest.
If you talk to most people about Allen Iverson, they will say, well, he crossed Jordan.
Or over Ty Lue?
Man, dude, didn't they lose 4-1? Didn't they lose that series 4-1?
I thought we was talking moments now, Shaun. You want to talk about the whole series?
Sir, I promise you, more people will say his crossover of Michael Jordan over stepping over Ty Lue.
Both iconic moments, man. Shout out to AI, man.
Yo, I watched that AI 30 for 30 again, man. Every time I watch it, I have to calm myself down.
Yeah.
You know.
They almost got him.
Man, you know how many fights. It just takes me back because you never know, bro. You know how many times you're around, like, I don't know. Did you guys have basements? You guys have basements?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so that's a Midwest thing. That's a Midwest thing.
Basements and bonfires.
Right. You know how, you have a basement party, bro. It's one way in and one way out. So if something jumps off, man, it just jumps off.
Yeah, you can't go nowhere.
Right. You know how you know how many instances I've been involved in where it's like, man, what the hell is going on? Right?
Yeah.
And me trying to get out of there or trying to move somebody can be misconstrued as me pushing them, me hitting them. Look, man, and I'm not sitting trying to absolve or change the history of what happened. I'm just telling you is when you get into a melee, that's self-preservation, man. You're trying to do whatever you can do to survive. Period. So, but yeah, the media needs to relax. ESPN, chill. The fact that they took it that far and made it an entire segment, and then just made Kendrick Perkins look crazy.
It just shows that ESPN's, they not worldwide leader no more.
No,
the Lucky Lefty podcast is where you got to turn to.
Facts.
You want the street knowledge. You want the street news, street facts. What's really going on? Turn into that Lucky Lefty podcast.
Facts, man. So Marshall Pritchard is going to join us Thursday, bro. And you will have Rico on tonight, right?
Yeah, Rico Flores, man. He's out here. I really like Rico, man. I want to ask him a lot of questions, man. I think it's interesting how I think he fits probably the best out of all the receivers that we get because he can fit in all the positions. He can play his styles on the inside. He can play on the outside. The guy's got a lot of talent.
I love that kid, man. Love him. I think my favorite, Jaden Greathouse, if he commits, I think he's going to be my favorite wide receiver in the class, though.
He's a tweener, though. What would you put him at?
That Mark, dude.
Who would you put him at?
He a dog.
But where would you put him at, though?
It don't matter. He a dog.
It do matter. When you in on an elite team like this, it matters.
Let me tell you. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Golden Tate. He's just a dog. Put him outside, put him inside.
Oh, so he taking over Avery Davis' spot then.
He a dog. A dog. You know what I'm saying? He's just a dog. Like his floor, he probably has the highest floor in the class. Braylon James probably has the highest ceiling. Jaden Greathouse. See, it's his mentality, bro. Right? It's his mentality. Like he's the type of dude, he's the type of freshman he's like Jaden Mickey in the wide receiver room. Like,
Jaden Mickey huge now. He not no little dude.
Are you talking about as far as his measurables, or are you talking about his heart?
I'm talking about Jaden Thomas.
Right, okay.
Jaden Thomas is huge.
I'm talking about the mentality of Jaden Mickey.
That's what's gonna get Jaden Mickey freshman All-American.
And
It's his mentality.
You put that mentality in that dog into a wide receiver the size of Jaden Greathouse, if he commits to Notre Dame, man, look, okay. All right. Okay. I love it. I love it, man. 15th. 15th, we'll find out. We'll find out on the 15th. But hey, I'm telling you, 6'2", 215, he might come in doing that Chase Claypool type of stuff, bro.
Hey,
Picking cats up.
But then the question is, can we get him to rock?
Yeah, because he's been catching balls from Cade Klubnik his entire high school career. So,
and they've been on the money too. So we're gonna have to match production for him, or he's gonna get upset now.
Yeah, because he's that type of kid. Like, yo, give me the rock
over here. Yeah,
right. Give me the rock.
But that's a good personality to put in that room due to the fact that we don't have a dominant personality in the room right now.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of good, fun-loving role players, a bunch of guys you would love to date your daughter. But Jaden Greathouse, I don't know. I might have to check him at the door like Bad Boys or something.
Man, do what you got to do. All I know is I like the mentality, bro. I like it. Lucky Lefty Podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another great episode. Make sure that you share, like, hit the notification bell. Let everybody know. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Yo, we just eclipsed 2,400. We just eclipsed 2,400 as far as subscribers. We really want to get up to 3,000 by the start of the season. We really would love to do that, to get up to 3,000 by the start of the season. But we thank God for you, Lucky Lefty Nation, that's really made us the success that we've become in these Notre Dame streets. All right. So for my guy, Malik Zaire, little leak over there. And thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Lucky Lefty Podcast, man. Most of all, spend it different today.